In this video, I'll be covering variables. I'll be explaining what variables are, how they help programmers, and how to use variables in your programs. So what is a variable anyway? Variables are a way to assign data to a temporary memory location, which allows the programmer to easily work with memory. So I know we've covered memory in the previous videos. However, all of that can be abstracted away using variables, which keep track of all that for you. This makes it much easier to reason about your programs, since all you need to do is create a variable name, and everything happens behind the scenes. So variables can be set to any value and any data type. By default, variables are immutable, but they can be made mutable. Immutable means the data cannot be changed once the variable is created. And this is the default because it makes it easier to reason about programs and less likely to make programming errors. Additionally, the language is able to increase the speed of your program when you have immutable data because it doesn't need to check if anything was changed because nothing can change since it's immutable. And conversely, mutable just means you can change it later. So here's some examples. This is also the first time we're seeing Rust code. So this is actual code that you would be typing if you were to be making a program. So let's start from the beginning. First, we have the word let. This is a keyword in the Rust language, and it's used for creating variables. Next, we have the variable name. This one is name2. We use a single equal sign to assign a value to the variable. Next, we have the number 2. This is the data that's being assigned to the variable. Lastly, we end the statement with a semicolon. Variable assignments always end with a semicolon because you're taking a single action. We're just creating a variable and then we're done. The semicolon indicates to the language that we need to move on to the next line. So whenever the semicolon is encountered, it will move on to the next. So if you were to read this in plain English, you would say, let some variable named 2 be assigned the value of 2. And so the 2 will then be within that variable named 2, and you'd be able to use it throughout your program. Next, we have let some variable named hello be assigned the string hello. So if you recall, strings use double quotes. So this data is a word, and it is going into the hello variable. Let some variable named j be assigned the character j. This is a character because we have single quotes, so we can put one character into the j variable. Let some variable named myHalf be assigned the value of 0.5. Variables can have more than one word in their name, so you'll use an underscore to separate words within a variable name. This can be useful to make variables easier to read versus placing all the words smashed together. Next, we have let a mutable variable named myname be assigned the value of Bill. So again, we have another string. This time, however, we have a mutable variable. So this variable myname can be assigned a different value later. So right now, it has the value of Bill, but later on we can change it to a different name. Let quit program be assigned the value of false. So this is a Boolean variable, and it's named quit program because perhaps it determines whether or not the program ends. It's really useful to name your variables in a way that represents what they are supposed to be accomplishing. This helps later on when you go to read the program. It helps you follow the logic of your program much easier. Last, we have let your half be assigned the value myHalf. So as we can see, myHalf is not a Boolean value. It's not a string or a number or a character. So what's going on here? So let's walk through it. If you'll notice, myHalf down here is the same as myHalf here. What we're doing, we're actually assigning your half the same value as my half. So let's walk through each step on the way to see how that occurs. So in the my half variable, we have 0.5, which then gets assigned to my half. Here, down in your half, we have the my half variable. So this will then get assigned to my half. So that is 0.5. And then it in turn gets assigned to your half. The end result is both your half and my half have the value of 0.5. As you can see, this can get pretty complicated pretty quickly. We only have a few lines of code here, and already there's lines kind of scribbled all over the place. So in the next video, we'll be covering how to keep all this organized in a way that is easy to follow versus having a block of 7 or 8 variables all in one place. To recap, variables make it easy to work with data, and in turn, memory. Since you don't need to memorize any memory locations, the variables take care of all that for you. Variables can be assigned to any value and any data type. This includes the value and types of other variables. By default, variables are immutable. However, you can use the MUT keyword to make them mutable if you need to change it later on in the program.